Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namaste. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nivishveshwanyavadi Paschati Vishnava. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vacharam pangam nandati ganam yat pratham mandai shri gurudin pranam. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with our text 3 now. All of you have read text 1 and text 2. Is there any question you have on text 1 and text 2? Hmm? Any questions anybody is having? Okay. Does that mean that it is not understood what we have discussed or not interested? Or it was okay? It was clear to all of you, whatever we have discussed so far?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, so text 3. We'll recite text 3 together. Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairya Tattat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyaga Shato Vritte Sadbir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. Okay. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Being enthusiastic, saha. Endeavoring with confidence, nishchayat. Dhairyat, being patient. Acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. That's called Tat Karma Pravartanat. Sangatyagat, abandoning the association of non-devotees. And Satovritti, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Makes sense? Okay. Now, the purport of Srila Prabhupada in this is also kind of big, but I think not as big as we had seen the earlier purports. But very, very amazing development. Again, Srila Prabhupada makes, and the first part of the purport is to establish the importance of devotional service as a principle. Second, the components of devotional service. Third, how to do those components. And then Srila Prabhupada moves to these 6 qualities. But in the first section, Srila Prabhupada establishes the perspective on why to do something, And Prabhupada starts his purport with, again, like, look at, I mean, the lines of Srila Prabhupada are always like, you know, some like Vedanta Sutras line, and then he expands. Uh, Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. So devotional service is not just, let's establish why, that's why acharyas establish of what we are trying to be enthusiastic about, of what we are trying to be patient about, of what we are trying to be confident about. What is that we are trying to discuss over here has to be substantially established, that has to be done. So here now, it is getting established as to what is devotional service. First, we need to establish that. First, what it is not, Even in Bhagavad Gita, you see, when Lord Krishna was explaining in second chapter what is soul, he also explained what is not the soul. Okay. Na hannate hannamane sharire. And then explaining what it is. And then one can understand exactly what it is. When you understand what it is not, when you understand what it is, then you understand what is something actually. Uh, Otherwise, if we are not attentive, even if we know that this is what devotional service is, but at times we get inattentive, then we may take something as devotional service, which actually it is not. Therefore, it's important for us to know what it is not also. Okay. What it is not sentimental speculation or some imaginative ecstasy. Oh, it's about bhav, getting some experiences. Experiences are fine, but experiences is not the end. The end is always devotional service. We are doing devotional service to do more devotional service and to get purified and do more devotional service. And in the process, we may get experiences, right? We may get some ecstasies. We may not get some ecstasies. Okay. But we continue. We continue. That's devotional service. And it is definitely not sentimental speculation. By that, what it means is it's not a armchair philosophy. It's not that you sit down and just, you just know what is happening. You just know everything philosophically. You just know a lot of body, mind, soul. Hiranyakashipu also knew a lot of philosophy. In fact, when his brother died, Hiranyaksh, uh, he he spoke philosophy to his bhabhi and mother. In Bhagavatam it comes. Uh, have you seen? Looks like, Sukhdev Goswami's quoting is philosophy. Means he knew philosophy really well, Hiranyakashipu. Very nice. You should read that section sometime, no? Hiranyakashipu's talking about soul. But look at the practical life of Hiranyakashipu. He was torturing Prahlad Maharaj. He was an anti-Vishnu. He was a complete antagonistic person. And he was speaking all that philosophy because he wanted them to get pacified, his bhabhi, and so that the home atmosphere becomes good for enjoyment. So he was using Krishna conscious philosophy to pacify everybody at home so that everybody can become happy and then he can enjoy. Strange ways people use philosophy. So devotional service is not that also. It's not a matter of philosophical speculation or some experience, running after experiences. And then Prabhupada says its substance is practical activity. So look at the way, it is about doing something. It's not about knowing philosophy. It's not about getting experiences. It's about practical activity, It's about practice. You get this point? These three different mentalities, That's servant. Servant means he's serving. Serving means mirror activities. Let's say you have a maid, but she is sitting on the sofa and you are only working. Sometimes it happens, no? We are working harder than the maids, uh, in explaining them what to do, what not to do, what to do, what. All the Matajis are spinning. Looks like it's a global issue. you know, Maid is very important component. So really, can you enjoy the meaning of that servant? No, you cannot. So service means practical activity, neither speculation nor experiences. All these things may come as a part, but ultimately it should lead to activities, our philosophical understanding. But activity, what kind of activity? Then that is where Rupa Goswami is giving that verse. If you see on the first section, Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadinam. He's quoting from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Srila Prabhupada. You will be reading this elaborately in your NOD, Nectar of Devotion. Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadinavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. Right? Right? Uttama Bhakti or unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality Godhead, Shri Krishna, involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord, and this devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal gyan, and all other selfish desires. Okay. So that is how. Now, what is the quality of that activity? It's devotional services activity. And activity, what quality of that activity, how that activity has to be done, that is in this verse. This verse is called Paribhasha Sutra of Nectar of Devotion. All scriptures, they have this Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha Sutra is that verse which can explain the subject matter of that scripture completely. Okay. All these scriptures which are like, voluminous scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, they have Paribhasha Sutra. Even Bhagavatam has a Paribhasha Sutra. Ete chams kalaha pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. It is 1.3.28. So there are 18, but this verse is special because this verse is going to sutra. It is going to connect all the verses. If you understand this verse, you will not misunderstand any other verse. Similarly, this is the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So how does it define? It says that Uttama Bhakti or unalloyed devotion, which means the activities which we are doing as devotional service, how those activities should be. First of all, they should be having a favorable attitude. I mean, not that I am doing this, oh my God, my health, my life is at stake, I'll have to do it. This devotee is following me up, therefore I'm doing it. That devotee is after my life, therefore I'm doing it. Or I have committed to spiritual master, therefore I have to do it. What a pain in life, out of fear, with a heavy heart. Doing activities with such attitude is called doing it with unfavorable attitude. So we may be doing externally things which are devotional service, but they don't qualify as such as devotional service because the attitude is not so favorable. It's not. And what is that favorable attitude? To sum up, it is I'm doing it pleasing to Krishna. Okay, it is. And while pleasing to Krishna, I should also be happy, that I am doing something for the pleasure of Krishna. If I am only having a long face, then Krishna will not be very happy. Once I asked Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, how can we please Krishna? So he told, uh, by being happy, first of all. I mean, not that, so I'll cover the other part also. But sometimes we should not get miserable in doing devotional service. We should be happily performing it. Favorable attitude. And sometimes you may have very favorable attitude, but the activity may not be pleasing. Activity may be, oh, I'm smoking cigarette for the pleasure of Krishna, favorable attitude. Once Giriraj Maharaj went to for some life membership, some donor in Mumbai, and he went to him and he became so happy seeing Giriraj Maharaj, and he asked him to sit down in his office. A big personality. And then one of his person came and gave him a cup of tea to this person who was a big businessman. And then he took out from his pocket a small silver box in which there was tulsi, and he put some tulsi in the tea. And he told, tulsi is very dear to Krishna. And no, I'm putting it in the tea and drinking it. It's very dear to Krishna. Sometimes we also don't eat prasad with such favorable attitude. Tulsi is so dear. Prasadam is so dear to. I mean, the food offered to Lord is such a nice. But he was doing it, but attitude was okay, but activity was not right. So therefore, attitude has to be pleasing and activity has to be bona fide. Activity has to be bona fide. Then it becomes anukulena. It becomes anukulena because it is attitude is good and activity is bona fide. Sometimes activity is bona fide, but the attitude is not good. Sometimes attitude is good, activity is not good. But sometimes activities are not good, attitude is also not good. But we want to do activities which are good and do good with a good attitude. Any activities we do, we have to check. It should be whether I'm doing with 4 qualities. This is something which I heard from Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. We should do all the activities with pleasure, with enthusiasm, with faithfulness, and with sincerity. Any activity. It doesn't matter which activity you're talking about. Okay. For a devotee, all activities have to be connected to Krishna. So it's a tough homework. It's not an easy homework. Homework for life. Lifelong homework. Okay. So activities have to be right and they have to be done with certain quality and a proper attitude. Then it becomes anukulena. Anukulena to whom? Krishnanu. Krishnanu means Krishna and his expansions. Anyways, this is not a nectar of devotion class, so we'll not go too much into it. But Prabhupada is mentioning this point, okay, because first he says it's an activity, and then he establishes what kind of activity it is by quoting this verse. Okay. So therefore, so that's how Srila Prabhupada defines devotion. It has to be an activity which is pleasing to Krishna, and it is bona fide, and it is for Krishna. So therefore, it becomes, since we are talking of activities, it becomes a sort of a cultivation, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the second paragraph. It becomes a sort of a cultivation. Okay. So now this is what I was saying now. So Prabhupada has right now established till this point principle of the devotional service. Now one may question that what are the kind of activities I should do? What are the activities I should do? Okay. And that is where then Prabhupada starts talking about the famous verse from Shri Prahlad Maharaj. Okay. Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmavedam. The 9 processes of devotional service are as follows: hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chanting his glories, remembering the Lord, serving the Lord's feet, worshipping the deity, offering obeisances unto the Lord, acting as Lord's servant, making friends with the Lord, surrendering oneself fully to the Lord. Make sense? So these are the 9 components of devotional service. So principle is established, and now Prabhupada is establishing the components of this devotional service. Okay. Shravanam. Okay. So it's a practical process and it's a practical program. Okay. Containing of these 9 components. So obviously it starts with hearing. When we hear, okay, if it becomes it is a foundation of our spiritual life. We come in devotional life by hearing. We continue in devotional life by hearing. And we perfect devotional life also by hearing. Hearing is the foundation of our devotional life. Parikshit Maharaj, he perfected his life by hearing. It is not that the first time he heard from scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam or something like that. No, he was a grandson of Pandavas. I'm sure Pandavas must have told them a lot of story. And they definitely were not discussing IPL with Parikshit Maharaj, They must have been discussing some real good stories with him. Some very fond. So it's not that for the first time Parikshit Maharaj heard those concepts. But Parikshit Maharaj must be so used to hearing that when the time of death came, he immediately took shelter of hearing. Which means he was so conditioned to hear, so much conditioned to hear about Krishna. What a nice conditioning to have, right? Conditioned to hear. So Shravanam is the first point. And when we are doing Shravanam properly, it naturally leads to second point, which is chanting. And when hearing and chanting are both regularly done, then remembrance comes. Forced to remember, because it becomes more solidly established in our mind, in our psychology. And then we get inspiration to serve. When we are remembering Lord, then it gives more inspiration to serve. And then formally we start the processes of different worship, like worshipping the Lord. And naturally, when we are worshipping the Lord, we offer obeisances unto him. We pray to him. We feel like our relationship becomes more intimate with him. Then we act as Lord's servant. And it becomes further intimate when we starts becoming friend with him. Okay. And then it reaches the plummet where Atmanivedana. All these processes are very progressively interlinked to each other. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. So that Prabhupada is now establishing. So this was the principle of devotional service, then the components of devotional service, and then Prabhupada moves to the point of how to do those components. And then Prabhupada talks about the secret, open secret, open secret. And what is that open secret? Prabhupada says, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Just try to learn the truth from approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And then Prabhupada goes on emphasizing this point of approaching a guru. It's not about going in a market, going to Quora, asking Chat GPT, or, it's about approaching a guru. It's about learning the truth from him, because it's only by his mercy it will get established in our heart the process of devotional service, not just in our intelligence, not just in our minds, not just in our senses, but in our hearts, where the soul resides. That happens only when we hear from Guru. Okay. So then Prabhupada is again talking about the same point from Mundaka Upanishad. This is also there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse. Tad Vijnanartham sa Guru Mevabhigachet. To understand that transcendental science, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, this method of submissively receiving transcendental confidential knowledge is not merely based on mental speculation. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasadipaya Bhakti Lata Reach. So Prabhupada establishes this point that how much approaching a guru is very important. And then Prabhupada makes this point, very famous verse of Brahmande Brahmite. Have you seen this verse ever? Have you heard this verse? In the course of traversing the universe. Now, there are two types of wanderings, it's called when the soul is wandering, So there are two types of wandering. One, what we do, go and do in a mall, We wander from one shop to another. Gone to buy clothes. You go to a market and wander in the market. But you've gone to the market which is actually having just clothes shops. You're not buying a car and going to a cloth market. Here it's a different wandering. This wandering, we don't even know what we want to get into. So that kind of wandering, just mindlessly wandering. In that wandering, if someone is very fortunate, he gets the shelter of a spiritual master who plants the seed of bhakti in the heart of the disciple. That Prabhupada also explains that seed of bhakti is nothing but, a little Krishna in the form of holy name. When we hear and chant, then that seed turns into sprouts, and then it turns into a sapling, and then a plant, and then grows and grows and grows and grows and grows, and takes us to the point of love of Godhead. That seed of bhakti. Prabhupada in one of his lectures is saying that, oh, you have got this seed. Don't keep this seed locked in the in your safe. Use this seed. Water this seed. Okay. Sometimes that's a point that anyhow we it's very important to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Without that, whole devotional service actually doesn't start unless one takes the shelter of a spiritual master. It doesn't start, unless one surrenders. Krishna also, when Arjun came to the point of surrender, that is where Bhagavad Gita actually started, So that's where it starts. And then Prabhupada says, that's why we have created this ISKCON. And that's what typically happens, when you come to ISKCON, you meet devotees, when one is sincere, when one is like roaming, frustrated. All of you must have been frustrated or seeking questions in your life, some problem somewhere, and then you meet devotees, and eventually through devotees you meet a spiritual master. So in this way, the process of devotional service, and he gives the seed of bhakti. Okay, so that's the whole background of this verse 2, because we should understand this background to actually understand how will we apply those qualities. Unless we don't understand the background of devotional service, then it's not possible to apply. So that's how it is. Okay. Okay.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu, question.
Yes.
When you say
Yes.
spiritual master, is it also Shiksha Gurus, or only when you have a spiritual master? When you say this context, one has to reach to a spiritual master. Is it also in switching to a Shiksha Guru and taking the shelter also is okay?
So we need, definitely we need uh, different types of gurus in our spiritual life. One is called Vartama Pradarshak Guru, who is practically guiding us in our devotional service and bringing us to the devotional life. Then there is Shiksha Guru, who is actually, uh, you know, very senior devotee, who is very advanced, very pure, and like no comparable to the level of even Diksha Guru. Okay, comparable, not exactly equal, comparable. That's the Shiksha Guru level. And then there is Diksha Guru. So we need all these gurus in our devotional life. Okay, and one cannot say that no, yes, there was Shiksha Parampara at some point of time. I mean, Krishna gave Shiksha to Arjuna, right? You don't see Arjuna's name getting changed. You know, he was just got initiated. From that perspective, the concept of Diksha started later and became very prominent later in our parampara, because it was very important for that samskara to be really, be there in our mind. And actually, earlier there used to be like, there's the other samskaras also happening, so that kind of purity and everything was there. But now it is not there. Those samskaras don't happen only, beginning from Garbhadan samskar and so many things. So therefore, Diksha is a very, very important samskara. Okay, Diksha is, and this is talking uh, of actually that commitment of Diksha. Okay, but you cannot just take Diksha and exist without Shiksha. Okay, you need Shiksha as well, and you can't really appreciate Shiksha unless you have somebody who is guiding you practically. So therefore, all these three become important. Okay, but essentially it is talking mainly from the perspective of Diksha, because that is where you also put the skin in the game. They call put the skin in the game. So when we take Diksha, we really understand the seriousness of this whole thing. Otherwise, okay, you say it's very nice, but I'm not ready to commit myself to this process. Oh, then it's a problem, right? Making sense? Okay, if that is making sense, then it's really, really wonderful. And then after establishing this, Srila Prabhupada starts to, explain all these qualities one by one. Okay. 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 So that's the second section of this whole purport is going to be about discussing. We'll discuss these 6 qualities. Okay. Elaborately. And the first quality is Utsaha. Okay. Utsaha. Okay, very nice. So we established the principle of devotional service, then the components of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. And then we understood how to basically initiate or do those components. It can be done only under the shelter of a guru, by taking shelter of a guru. And now, once let's say you get to that point of, oh, Srila Prabhupada's, so don't think that till the time Diksha happens, it has not started. It has started even now, because we have taken Shiksha of Srila Prabhupada into our hearts. So we are progressing. We're progressing. Srila Prabhupada took shelter of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur or his Shiksha in 1922. He took initiation in 1933. 11 years he waited to become a perfect disciple. Do we think that unless Prabhupada took initiation, he didn't actually advance? No, that's not right. Because Shiksha, we cannot restrict Guru, or we cannot restrict the progress in the life of a spiritual aspirant by a ceremony. It's more about taking the shelter. But at the same time, one should not minimize the importance of Diksha. One should not minimize the importance of Shiksha. One should not too much emphasize the importance of Diksha also. And one should not too much think that, okay, I'll just take Shiksha, no Diksha. That is also not right. Okay. You're getting the balance. Okay. But devotional service starts at the point when we accept the tenets or the Shiksha of a Guru Parampara, and which we all have started. Okay, by taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, who is our foundational Shiksha Guru, who is giving us this devotional service in the books. So that has started, which will now formally get solidified as you move on. So when we get to know that, when we get to understand that, now the process which is given by Acharyas, now the process which is given by Guru, how do we do it? That is where these 6 qualities come in. You getting my point, no? You're getting the point? That's why Prabhupada gave all this background before he started moving into it. Because otherwise, we'll be enthusiastic for something else, So Prabhupada clarifies it, that what you have to be enthusiastic, what you have to be patient about, what you have to. Are you able to see the connections? Is it making sense to all of you? Is it? Okay, it is. Okay, very good. Enthusiasm. So Prabhupada is writing such deep purports. Okay. It looks like an injustice to complete it in this time, whatever we have, but then we'll do it. We don't have any other option. We'll do it. Okay. One should accept this opportunity to return home back to Godhead very enthusiastically. Without enthusiasm, one cannot be successful. Okay. Because if there is no enthusiasm, there will be negligence. Lack of enthusiasm leads to negligence. Bharat Mara's story you have seen, no, in 5th canto. He reached to the point of bhava, just one step short of prema. Imagine, till that point he reached. And that's why that story is there. But he became negligent at that point. And that led to a spiritual disaster for him. Because of negligence. So when there is lack of enthusiasm, there is negligence. When there is negligence, there is all these qualities like indifference, apathy, carelessness, all these things come in. All these things come in. Okay. And then how can one be successful? Okay. If there is negligence in our spiritual practices, one will not be successful. One will fail. One will fail miserably. Okay. Now, so that's what the apathy, it becomes like, when there is lack of enthusiasm, then we become apathetic for spiritual activities. It's okay. It's okay. I don't do this. It's okay. You become apathetic, So we become like impersonal in spiritual life. Impersonal. That's negligence in spiritual life gets manifested in different ways. Prabhupada says that even in material world, one has to be very enthusiastic in his particular field of activity in order to become successful. All these principles, what we are discussing, this is not just the principle. I mean, I don't know how Rupa Goswami got this. It's really, not hat. We don't wear hat, but it's like, whatever hats off or whatever you want to say. What amazing personality Rupa Goswami must be. How he could get these 6 qualities, because in order to be successful, even in material circle, one needs to have these 6 qualities. If one doesn't have these 6 qualities, one cannot be successful. But how could he get it? I don't know. How Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. He got that, he got that, and he is bringing it to us. these 6 qualities. You apply it anywhere, you will be successful. Okay. And then Prabhupada says a student, businessman, artist, or anything else who wants success in his line must be enthusiastic. Similarly, one has to be very enthusiastic in devotional service. That's the point. One has to be enthusiastic in devotional service. Now, we become unenthusiastic in devotional service, or if we don't maintain enthusiastic in devotion. It's about maintaining it, it's not about anything else. It's not about some rocket science every day. It's just about ensuring that, like, you go to office, you wear your shoes and you wear everything. You can't say that, okay, probably no, I'll not, maybe I'll go in shorts, it will work. No, it will not work. Okay. So similarly, when it comes to devotion service, it has to be with enthusiasm. It has to be with enthusiasm. And if it is not there, then there is a problem. Then it becomes a problem. Okay. So if we are now, we can study, why do we forget and wear shorts while going to office? Why do we forget enthusiasm to be carried in our life? Is when we become too attached to the impermanent material activities, then we become apathetic to the devotional service. Enthusiasm doesn't mean you are rocking and you are like jumping in the floor. I'm enthusiastic in devotional service. You are just breaking the walls. You are. Enthusiasm means consistency. Enthusiasm means consistency. You're doing it consistently. You're doing it consistently. Not that today I'm doing, tomorrow I'm not. I did for 2 years and then I fed up. I did it for year after year. We are consistently doing, and that is called enthusiasm. Why that doesn't happen? When we have not understood the impermanence of material activities or materialistic life, when we are too concerned with the transformations happening around us, then we become less concerned about the devotional service. Okay. When we are concerned about devotional service, when we become tolerant to the transformations around us, it's very reciprocal relationship, very reciprocal relationship. So what should I do? What should I do? Act enthusiastic in devotional service. Automatically we'll become tolerant to the material transformations. Automatically it happens. We become enthusiastic in devotional service, then we become tolerant to the materialistic transformations. Okay. That is one point. And does that mean I have to give up material activities? No. And that is where the point which Srila Prabhupada starts establishing next is that in all phases of life, one has to perform devotional activities under the direction of spiritual master in order to attain perfection in Bhakti Yoga. Generally we see sometimes in devotees' life, they become like, oh, this is material life, this is spiritual life. We start separating, we start separating these two lives. That causes a problem. Okay, that causes a problem. That's where we become, very sensitive to, because we are not dovetailing material activities in Krishna consciousness. We are not connecting the same, then it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem. But then Prabhupada makes a point that no, and that's where we become apathetic to spiritual and concerned about material. But when we understand, if we don't separate them in one place, in first place, it will be easy for us to manage. So we should not separate spiritual and material. For devotee, there is nothing called this is spiritual, that is material. Prabhupada makes that point. It is not that one has to confine or narrow one's activities. Krishna is all-pervading. Krishna is all-pervading. Therefore, nothing is independent of Krishna, as Krishna himself states in Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. Matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshva avasthitam. You know, Krishna is saying that everybody is in me and I am in everyone and everything is coming from me. So you cannot see material life disconnected from spiritual life, or spiritual life, this is my material life, this is a nonsensical life, this is, you know, everything has to be connected to Krishna. Everything has to be connected to Krishna. How? From my mind? No. Under the direction of bona fide spiritual master, one has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. That's where that point of balance comes in. You know those 7 pillars of balance? You remember? What are those 7 pillars?
Hare Krishna.
Surabhi Mataji,
It's a
raise your hand.
sadhana, services.
Please raise your hand. Raise your hands. Okay. Or maybe raise a virtual hand or a real hand. Because some screens I am not able to see. Yes, Surabhi Mataji. At least I saw your hand going. 1 pillar you tell, huh? Not everyone. Bas sadhana. Second pillar.
Hearing services.
1 pillar. One at a time. Hearing.
Hearing, sir. Hearing.
Yeah.
Services.
What else?
Services.
Services of preaching. Yeah. That is third. Fourth.
Association, Prabhuji.
Association of devotees. Fourth. Fifth.
Relationship. Sorry.
Someone else. Not the same devotee.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Ram Reddy Prabhu. Yes.
Relationships. Maintaining relationships.
Relationship at home, relationship with family, with wife, between the spouses. And what is the 7th?
Health, Prabhuji.
Health. Oh, 6th. And what is the 7th?
Job and financial status.
Household life and job and financial condition. So all this is part of our ecosystem. Okay, we should not neglect any one of them at the cost of other. When we give our best, to balance all these different things, then we become consistent in devotional life. Okay, and we attain consistency. So that's a direction from our Guru Parampara. Krishna also says that no one who eats too much eats too less, one who recreates too much or too less, one who sleeps too much or too less. Basically, if one is not, a point over here is for them yoga is not possible. So Krishna is also saying there are certain material things apparently, which are material seemingly, but for a yogi, even if he doesn't know how to deal with them properly, it will become an impediment in his devotional service. Or if he deals with them properly, it will become, it will ease the situation of performing devotional service. So we should not see anything beyond, we should try to make everything as per the concept of balance. We should live our life in such a way, and then everything becomes favorable for Krishna's service. And then Prabhupada says the point. For example, at present we are using dictaphone, and then Prabhupada makes a point that how anything material becomes spiritual if it is being properly used. If it is being properly used. So all obviously, if you are using it for Krishna's service, you can't have a really broken down microphone and all those things. It has to be clean. It has to be nice, well maintained. Okay. Similarly, our life also is apparently maybe material activities, but they have to be well maintained, well oiled, so that it is not creating a problem for us to do our chanting, reading, hearing. That's important. In itself, is taking bath spiritual or material? Tell me. Is it spiritual activity, taking bath, or material activity?
Spirituality.
Spiritual, Prabhuji.
It is spiritual activity, huh? How many of you say it is spiritual activity? Raise your hands.
It is both,
Virtual
Prabhuji,
hand.
both.
But
It depends on the
both.
intention.
ये both वाला जो होता है ना वो MBA वाला आंसर होता है. In MBA we used to get this answer. Whether this company will go up or go down, it depends, It may go both way.
If someone is
It
kind of
cannot be
taking bath,
both, It cannot be both. It has to be either spiritual or material. Even spiritual activities are not both. Or material activities. These are,
so if
how
someone is
many of you are
taking,
saying? How many of you are saying? I don't want to hear the reason right now, but as a poll, I want to hear how many of you say it is spiritual or material. Spiritual, how many are saying? Can you raise your virtual hands? Virtual hands. Okay, so that I can get a count.
Definitely materialistic are
6, 7, 8,
they. Spiritual involved kada.
10,
Spiritual.
11, 12. My God. 12. But 12, 13 or what? How many of you think it is spiritual? Please raise your hands. Oh, sorry, material. How many of you think it is material? Please remove your hands, otherwise I'll count the earlier hands in. Material, 1 minute, we'll start material. Huh? How many of you say it is material? 4 hands only, huh? 4 hands, huh? 5 hands, huh? 5 hands. 5 hands.
Everybody is material, no, Prabhu, if it's not spiritual.
So spiritual, taking bath is spiritual. Okay, so that I think spiritual wins. Oh, Haribol, the election is won by spiritual.
Prabhuji, 29 minus.
Prabhuji, I have a question, Prabhuji. It depends
No,
on.
just a second. This is not democracy, by the way. Majority is not always right, unfortunately. Taking bath is material. How can you say it is spiritual? Even dogs are taking bath, cats are taking bath, and the person next door is taking bath. Everybody is taking bath. Why you are saying it is spiritual?
Taking bath for
I think
bhakti,
the
then it's
best
a
is
spiritual thing.
the gospel.
Daily bath for?
Bhakti, you are trying to please Krishna.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I didn't say that point. I just told whether taking bath is a material activity or a spiritual activity.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvad Pranam. Prabhuji,
Yeah.
as you said, it depends how we are using that, right? So dictaphone or microphone, if used for Krishna's glory, is spiritual. So if we take bath for doing bhakti, puja, and everything, then it becomes spiritual. That's
Yes.
the reason I thought it is spiritual.
Yeah. But I told that no, not for. I just asked that because dictaphone is also material. Okay, but if it is getting used, it is spiritual.
Yes.
Similarly, taking bath is material, but if we are using it to get up, become fresh, and do nicely chanting and all those things, yes, then it becomes spiritual. Okay, so ultimately leads to that. That's the point. Okay, all of you won. By the way, everybody was speaking right only. Devotees, all of you were right. All of you get a candy. Virtual one. Let me give a virtual candy to her. A clap at least. Give a reaction, Give a reaction. Oh, yeah. Here's from me. To all
Prabhuji,
of you.
waking up in Brahma Muhurta and taking bath and chanting Krishna's.
Yeah, if you're waking up in Brahma Muhurta to basically
worshipping deities, it comes under spiritual, no, Prabhuji. That's why we said taking bath
it's
is
fine, Mataji. It's okay. But if one is waking up in Brahma Muhurta per se is material only. If you are waking up to read scriptures, it is spiritual. If you are waking up to read, prepare for the exam next day, it becomes material. You're getting the point. In itself, there are cocks also waking up in Brahma Muhurta. Yesterday I was reading Chanakya Niti, and he was saying there are 4 things we should learn from the cock. 4 things, yeah. I think one of the thing was this: waking up in Brahma Muhurta. You should learn from the cock. He
no,
knows.
Prabhuji. For Krishna,
Huh?
what I mean to say is,
I am saying, yeah, Mataji, I am understanding that point. If you're waking up, so all of you are so absorbed in devotional service, you don't see anything material actually. That's a very good thing. But I'm just explaining the concept, The concept is that no, these things in itself are material, but when they're used for Krishna service, they become spiritual. That's the point which I was trying to say. But obviously, yes, all of you are also already imbued in devotional service, so that's nice. I'm very happy to see that. Yeah. Yes. Somebody raised his hand. Okay, nobody raised a hand. I think that was a previous hand raise, which is fine. Okay. So that is, so we should learn to see everything as part of Krishna's energy, Then everything will be dovetailed in a circle. That will lead to enthusiasm. How do we connect our different activities in devotional service will lead to enthusiasm? Because we are not differentiating spiritual and material. So then there is no game of choices left in our life. Then we'll not become apathetic to spiritual life and become too much concerned about the, and then we'll become slowly tolerant to the materialistic transformations and in this way. See the connection which Srila Prabhupada is making was amazing. And then Prabhupada closes the point. Endeavor executed with intelligence and Krishna consciousness is called utsaha or enthusiasm. The devotees find the correct means by which everything can be utilized in the service of Lord. The execution of devotional service is not a matter of idle meditation, but practical action in the foreground of spiritual life. Okay. Okay. Now we move to the next point, which is that of patience. Utsaha Nishchaya, sorry, not patience. Confidence. Okay. So Prabhupada is combining patience and confidence both. Nishchaya. Opposite of Nishchaya is what?
Aniche.
That's a good one. Anishchaya. It reminds me of my younger son. His answers are typically like that, Nice one, Anishchaya. But from the practical perspective, what will, let's say you are going on a road, forget the GPS is there in the life, Google has not still invented in material world from the hellish planets. They have not invented on the earthly planet. So must have been coming from hellish planets only, no? It has made the life hellish. Everybody is just looking in their mobiles and all, no? Cannot come from spiritual world for sure. Okay. So imagine the GPS days are not there, and how you would have found the ways where to go. Let's say you were on the Hyderabad route. What you used to do? Let's say going fresh to, all of us are going to fresh to, let's say Himanshu Prabhu's house. He has got a DT and he's doing a DT welcoming program, and all of us for the first time are going to his house. Himanshu Prabhu, you'll call all of us?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Definitely, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So we'll definitely go, and he has prepared some nice South Indian feast, some Dikshit, I don't know whether you are South Indian or not, but let's say he takes help of Srinivas Prabhu and Pavan Prabhu, and they prepare some nice South Indian feast also, so we are all eagerly, enthusiastically waiting for that. But we have to reach his house. There is no GPS, and we are all coming from our different places, asking, where do you stay, Prabhuji? What is the name of the place?
Gachibowli, Dalagandla.
Oh, Gachibowli. All of you know Gachibowli. Hypothetically, let's say you don't know Gachibowli and we are all coming from different places. So when we are coming, we don't know what is the way. and then we'll check with, what do? We check with different people, right? And you often meet some people who tell, wrong way very confidently and right way in a very casual way. So if you go to Delhi, I'm from Delhi. Delhi is known for, in those days, very confidently people will say this side, no, go this side. And actually the way is this side. So people used to go. All of you have experienced in Delhi? No. North India, if you are like, they give you a different skill set of not trusting anyone, because if you know, so many things keep happening over there. Okay. But sometimes there are some people, they know the right way, but they just say, आगे चले जाओ, आगे मिल जाएगा. And then you confirm, ठीक बोल भी रहा है कि नहीं बोल रहा है, because he is not saying with that vigor, हाँ यही रास्ता है, ये. He is saying, आगे चले जाओ. Then we ask another person, then we are still somehow, no, sometimes in our prejudices, it's not lucky. Like, no, let's say you reach a point where there is, I have to take a left or a right. You check with someone, ले लो, right ले लो, आ जाएगा शायद. बोला left ले लो. Then let's say we talk to 2-3 people and we take a right. We are not so sure. But Himanshu Prabhu calls up and it's voice days only, no mobile data. And he says, when you are coming my way, you'll see a big board, which is of Vodafone Idea. And that time probably Vodafone was only there, whatever. And you see that board and, there is a dog on that, that wherever you go, our network follows. When you see that board, there must be a turn. You remember that board. And when we are taken that right, we see that board. And then we race our bike, till the time we are on second gear, our whatever bike, I mean, no gears in bike these days. So all of you have driven that bike wala scooters. Have you done? Remember? Done that, right? I learned on that. Now there is no use only of learning from that actually. So, then you will put it on third gear, fourth gear, and okay. Nishchaya comes. Confidence comes. Before that, what is there?
Anishchaya.
Doubt. When there is no Nishchaya, then what comes? Doubt.
Anishchaya.
Anishchaya. Doubt. Krishna says, doubting soul is not happy in this world and he is not happy in next. Confidence. Confidence means not doubting. Sometimes it happens, spiritual process is so mystic, it is so mystical that it is so achintya, you have to please Krishna. Oh, come on, I've not seen Krishna. So it becomes so many, achintya bheda bhed. That's why we call it, achintya, inconceivable. Inconceivable, spiritual life is all inconceivable. You can come to the point of there is a controller behind everything. There is this, there is that. But whether Lord is a person, and even the person like Krishna, we have this Meenu Mataji who was there. Meenu Mataji, you are there? You had asked the question the first day. You're there? She's
Hare
not
Krishna,
there.
Prabhuji. This is Meenu, Prabhuji.
Oh, you are there, no?
Daksh. Yeah, Daksh is my son name, Prabhuji.
Okay. It seems you are not well, huh?
Yes, Prabhuji, my throat is not well. Actually,
Okay.
I came to my sister's place and I got some throat infection.
Okay. No, but the first day when Meenu Mata was asking, I don't get questions only, I don't get questions, So, Nishchaya doesn't mean that there is no question sometimes. There are two types of doubts. One doubt strengthens the faith. It is a function of intelligence. Okay. Pacifying those doubts will further improve. But one set of doubts is arising from ego. One sort of doubt is arising from impiety, where one is not able to believe on the achintya principle of spiritual life. Somehow, okay, I'll just, ठीक है यार, जब डाइजेस्ट होगा होगा, अभी मैं उसके बारे में बात नहीं करता हूँ ज्यादा. Some areas in spiritual life we don't want to discuss because we are not heartily accepted. This is what Krishna consciousness is all about. Think about it. Just think about it. These are, very deeper philosophical aspects. Sometimes we say that, ठीक है यार, अभी करते हैं, प्रभु जी बोल रहे हैं. Sometimes we do out of social pressure or out of this or out of that. But have we really accepted the achintya concept or devotional service? That is something which is there. Yeah, some question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I'm just seeing this.
Some echo is there.
No, Prabhuji, we have two connections. So in this Bhagavad Gita 9.4, so here we see all the shloka, whatever is there in this book. So here it says, all beings are, Krishna is saying, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. So my question is, so we were told that Krishna sits in the heart as Paramatma. So it does not, so is it not contradicting, Prabhuji? Then this shloka
Paramatma is the is the expansion of Krishna. Okay. It is one of the it is the expansion of Krishna. By this, what basically it means is that he's not restricted to it. He's not restricted to the living beings. You can say that is there in Paramatma, but then it's not complete feature also which Krishna is showing as Paramatma. Does it show his complete Bhagavatta? No. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdata. Absolute truth is realized in three phases: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. That's the point. Okay. So, makes sense? Okay. So then, so that's about the doubt, a doubting soul. Doubting soul, not from the perspective again from the intelligence, but some doubts which we have. How do we address these doubts? Let's hear what Prabhupada is mentioning. These activities must be executed with patience. First of all, when we are not 100% confident, just continue doing it with patience. Because results are not coming sometimes because we are not fully invested in the process. When we become fully invested in the process, then the results also do come. One should not be impatient in Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada is starting to talk of confidence, like he's basically combining Nishchaya and Dharya. Okay. And in the beginning, there was no response, but because we continued to execute our devotional activities with patience, people gradually began to understand the importance of this movement, and now they are eagerly participating. One should not be impatient in discharging devotional service, but should take instructions from spiritual master and execute them with patience, depending on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The successful execution of Krishna conscious activities require both patience and confidence. A newly married girl naturally expects offspring from her husband, but she cannot expect to have them immediately after marriage. Of course, as soon as she is married, she can attempt to get a child, but she must surrender to her husband, confident that her child will develop and be born in due time. Okay. So there is a period in our devotional life when we accept, but it reveals, the Krishna also reveals slowly. So there are phases in our spiritual life when we are not, revelations are not coming, we're just doing things. We are not sure sometimes, oh, am I in the right direction? Am I doing the right thing? Am I, am I in the right place? गलती तो नहीं हो गई? यहाँ से भी गए, वहां से भी गए, वो रिलेटिव भी गए, वो फ्रेंड भी गए, ये भी हो गया, वो भी हो गया, लॉस ही लॉस हो गया. Mind will, You know, all this is symptoms of lack of confidence. And then one may become impatient. I think enough of it. Huh? I'll just leave everything, you know. Then when it becomes impulsive, it will happen as long as one is not cleared with impurities in the heart, one will keep getting doubts. Okay. Okay. Sometimes the doubts have to be clarified. Sometimes we know what those doubts, what this other person is going to say also, but somehow the heart is not resonating with that. So we have to, as long as intellectually at least in good senses, when we are in good mood and good senses, when we have accepted this fact, then we should remember that and continue in our devotional service with patience. Because this Achintya philosophy will start to gradually unravel itself. Unravel itself, you know. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning, that no. Prabhupada is bringing the point of preaching that how actually nobody was giving any response. Later on, we continued with patience and everything became okay. No, everything got slowly understood. So in all our devotional activities, whether it is about our Janma Sarthak or Parobkar, preaching, we have to be enthusiastic and we have to not allow doubt to overpower our enthusiasm. Doubtful nature, you know, what I am doing, you know, it should not impede our progress. That means we are getting impatient. That means you're getting the interrelation between these three qualities: enthusiasm, nishchaya, dhairyat. You know, we continue with enthusiasm, but you know, it takes sometimes, you know, revelations, understanding of things probably will, you know, take a bit of time. Okay. So we have to continue with our devotional service and things open up. Okay. If we just become impulsive and all of a sudden leave things, then it will not happen. With patience, with dharya, we have to keep patience. We have to continue in our devotional life. It is not blind faith when we are doing that. It is not blind faith. It is applied faith, and it is a phase of testing. You know, you do that POC, product testing, and all, some of those things happen. You test the different products and all. It's not that you're doubtful only about the results, even in those cases, but you still continue, you know, with the process. You stick to the process. So it's very important that, just a second. It's very important that we sorry, where was I? Just missing a thought on which I was there. My battery charger. Can someone tell me, help me with what point I was talking about?
To balance it, all these three factors, Prabhuji: enthusiasm, nishya.
Yeah. So patience and so basically one has to be patient. If things are not opening up, one has to just hold on. One should not become too impatient in life. Okay. And therefore one should not lose enthusiasm, because it takes time, you know. The process is going to be, all of you are able to resonate with what I'm saying. Do you experience such things in your spiritual life that sometimes we feel like it happens, right? It happens for me also sometimes, you know. It has happened in different levels, different types of things keep coming, you know. All of you want to say something about this?
The question, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The
Yeah.
doubt also comes when we see others, no? Because if we have some understanding, it's not that we might have got some understanding on some subject and we're following that in Bhakti. But when you see others doing something different, we also get a doubt on our own am I doing rightly or not? Maybe I'm doing wrong.
So I'm not talking of that category of doubt. What the category of doubt I'm talking about is doubt on the philosophical realities. You're getting my point, right? I'm not talking about the doubt about the institution or somebody said something about ISKCON or some devotee or something. I'm not getting into those aspects. That's not the purview. Actually, if we are convinced about the philosophy, such things will not impact us much. We'll sail through all these things very easily. When we see some devotee, let's say, doing something, when we see something, somebody is saying something, or let's say something happens, or it doesn't matter, some managerial or some sort of other issue, it will not really impact us if we are philosophically kind of sure about it. I'm talking about those kind of doubts. Okay. But what you are saying also sometimes impedes our enthusiasm in some sense, that when we see devotees, if I may understand, if I have understood your question correctly, you're kind of saying is that it is more about you are doing something and some other devotees are doing something else.
Yes, yeah.
So can you give some example on that?
Not something else, maybe because if you are a new devotee and just entered, and maybe others are doing, maybe they are more advanced, and maybe I am not able to cope up with them. Those kind of doubts will come back. Is it clear, Prabhu?
I'm not clear with the example as such, what you're saying.
When you visit temple as a new devotee, right, Prabhu? So we go and pray the God in a certain way, and we just do a pranam, and somebody is doing a different way, because I thought that could be the way of offering obeisance to the God. So maybe I followed that. So
yeah, so that I think that's a matter of sometimes we have those very strong ritualistic background. We're like very much about pakka about certain things, and when we see things differently and all. But I think that kind of with training, because that's where we're talking of. That was the first point. You have taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, and you have accepted that basic tenet of the concept of the lifestyle and the tattva of Vaishnavism. Okay.
Yeah.
After doing that also, after accepting that also, there may be points where you may start questioning, whether I'm doing what I'm doing is right or not. That is the point which I'm trying to mention.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely I feel low sometimes in bhakti. Means sometimes because of the situations at home, or I'm not able to do 16 rounds chanting. At that time, if I hear the Srila Prabhupada's video, I downloaded that. He said that in that video, how we are eating the food to survive. In the same way, we have to complete the 16 rounds, and then only we have to sleep. At that time, after hearing such words, I get confidence. Whenever I feel low in bhakti, I hear some, who are top in bhakti. That's it. Then I get some confidence.
Association of devotees. Yeah.
Yes.
So definitely that is what the point which comes later any which ways. Tat karma pravartana. Oh, sorry. Sato vritti. Okay. The following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. That point comes, and you're right. Actually, when we come in devotional life, initially we are very enthusiastic. We think things are so easy. As if, like, let's say you have joined a medical college and you think you have become a doctor any which ways. No? When we join a medical college, we see stethoscope and we think as if we have become a doctor. But when we start studying, we think, oh my God, MBBS is such a big pain, we lose enthusiasm. So first phase of our devotional life become very enthusiastic. It's called Utsahamai. It's called Utsahamai. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that point. Utsahamai. And the second point comes, there is depression. Oh my God, it is so tough. It is so tough. So tough. So tough to go there. And then the point comes of Like, no, one thinks, oh, I'll do this and I'll become successful. I'll do that, I'll become successful. I'll renounce, so I'll become more successful. I'll enjoy more, so I'll become more successful in devotion. So all those things come. So all those are phases in devotional life. Therefore, I'm saying, again, going back to the point of balance, one has to remain balanced in one's life and consistently go on doing devotional service. Consistently, consistency is the key word over here. So definitely such doubts or such lack of enthusiasm, as Matai told, whenever it comes, one should go and hear, actually. Once there was one very senior devotee, she visited Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, and she told, after 25 years of devotion life, 20 years of devotion life, I don't feel enthusiastic. So, and Maharaj told, he took his two fingers and, are you hearing well? Hear regularly. So this point which Matai told is also a very, very important point, actually, to remain enthusiastic. And that is what Satovritti is basically to continue hearing in association. Continue hearing in association. Then our enthusiasm will remain fired up. Our enthusiasm goes down because either we have become impatient or we have lost confidence, you know. So then all these things will be settled. Okay. Okay. Any other question, Sahanishya? Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a problem actually. See,
I
I
have?
asked a problem.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I
we also have.
asked out.
All have a problem. Yeah.
I totally believe in our scriptures. I totally believe in Krishna. I totally believe in my Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru, everyone. But I ask doubts. Only thing is, if someone asks me, I should able to answer them. So that is the only reason I ask doubts. Otherwise, see, whatever it is there, still I'm not convinced with the 100% convinced with the answer what you gave me between this Paramatma and Bhagwan. Coming back to the shloka again. So when clearly Krishna here says, I am not in them. See, Paramatma is also a form of Krishna.
Yeah.
If he is residing in some form, so how can he say again, I am not at all in them?
So let us open that purport. Okay. Just let me just open that purport. Because we don't have that purport in front of us. I'm sure Prabhupada must be talking about this.
And similarly, there's one more question, Prabhuji, which I'm struggling from many days. See, after I was reading Ramayanam, and there, after Ashwamedha Yagam,
Yes.
so Kausalya, she herself sacrificed the horse. I have read this in Ramayana. See, generally in Vedas, it is clearly there that these Brahmins can sacrifice the animals when they are close to death, so that they get a new life. But when it comes to Ashwamedha Yagam, the horse has to run or walk thousands of kilometers, so the horse will be perfectly healthy. So why
first we'll sort out this can you enable my screen sharing, please? First, one by one, we'll go one by one.
I'll make you a co-host, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please do that. So, as expected, Srila Prabhupada is kind of talking about that in his book.
Done, Prabhuji.
That purport. Host.
Are you able to share, Prabhuji, or is there any technical issue?
Yeah. Yes. I can share my screen. So can you see this? Oh, just a second. Yeah. Let us see what Prabhupada is mentioning. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So let's read this second paragraph of Prabhupada. Yet one should not conclude that because he is spread all over. Okay. And then Prabhupada is explaining how he's spread all over. He's spread all over through his energies and as Paramatma, like that. He's talking about all those things. He's spread all over, but he has not lost his personal existence. Okay, so the personal form of the Lord is not lost. Remember, this is being told by personal Krishna. Okay, personal form. There are three forms of the Lord. Okay, one is called Swayam Rupa, the other is called Tadekatma Rupa, and the third is called Avesh Rupa. You will read that in teachings of Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya, there's a section on avatars. You can read that chapter. Okay, Prabhupada explains that these are the three forms of Lord. Swayam Rupa is Krishna himself. Okay, and this Krishna himself speaking, and then the Tadekatma Rupa is Paramatma Rupa. Okay, it includes everyone. It includes Matsya Avatar, it includes Varaha Avatar, it includes all the avatars, Purush avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai, Shirodakshai Vishnu, and Parma. Everybody comes over there. Avesh avatars are the avatars of the Lord who are living entities but empowered, okay, by Lord in such a way that they are representing Lord, okay, but they are Avesh. Now, my question is, are these forms equally powerful?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, they are all equally powerful. It is not that one form is more powerful than another, okay, but the manifestation of that power is different in all the forms, okay, based on the need of that, of that form. Okay, so let's with that background, let's see what Prabhupada is saying. So to refute such an argument, Lord says, I am everywhere and everything is in me, but I am aloof. For example, a king heads a government, which is but the manifestation of king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. What is this personal thing which they are talking about? What is the king they are talking about? Is the personal form of the Lord, Swayam Rupa Bhagwan. So that Swayam Rupa Bhagwan is aloof. Okay, he is aloof. He is aloof from everyone. So that is what is that no, but I am not in them. All beings are, I'm within them, definitely as Paramatma, I'm pervading everywhere, but I'm not restricted to them. My existence is still beyond them. You can't restrict me in them. Okay. Similarly, all manifestation, everything exists both in material and spiritual, are resting on the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is present everywhere by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies. But you cannot restrict him in everything. Since he is present as Paramatma, you can't say that's the, I'm restricting, Krishna. That's the most complete form. You're getting my point? Okay, so the king, that example, what is there, right? Makes sense?
In this context, so we have to consider only the original form of Krishna.
Yes. Yeah. That's what Prabhupada is explaining, king's power, king, right? You saw it, right? Any other question?
I'm going back to my Ashwamedha.
Yeah, Ramayan question, Ramayan. Let's now from Krishna to Rama. Yeah.
So I have read it in Ramayanam that after the yagam is done, so Kaushalya, after the Ashwamedha yagam is done, after Ashwamedha yagna is done, so Kaushalya has sacrificed the horse by herself.
Oh, out of my syllabus, I have not read that past time actually.
Okay, I was reading this book, Prabhuji.
Krishna Dhan Prabhu's, no?
Yes, this book I was reading.
Okay. Actually, no, I have somehow or other, I have been slightly like a Mahabharat person so far in my life. I have not read through Ramayana so much. I know.
I asked doubt many people. So
So
everyone
what
are
is the
saying,
question? I mean, let's try to understand. What's the question like? Yeah.
everyone are saying yes. I have also, the thing is, when cow sacrifice and animal sacrifice is written in Vedas, so it could be done by Brahmins to give it a new life when the animal is close to death. So to give it a new life, the sacrifice will be done. My question is, when for in Ashwamedha Yagnam, so the horse should be very healthy in order to perform, because it has to run or walk maybe thousands of kilometers during those times. That means the horse should be perfectly healthy. So once the process is done, why should one sacrifice a healthy being?
Why should
That's
one sacrifice?
a horse is a healthy, it is healthy one. So why should one sacrifice a healthy life, which is not close to death? It is perfectly healthy. So why it has to be sacrificed?
Okay, I don't know the. It was never part of my JD to do Ashwamedh Yajna, so I don't know what. But my common sense is that when you are doing a sacrifice of anything, you want to offer the best in the sacrifice. Okay, because ultimately that sacrifice is meant for the pleasure of Vishnu, the Lord, and all. So you want to do that. Okay. You don't want to have a Maragilla cow or Maragilla horse to be offered in the sacrifice, That will not work. You know what? There's something called Katha Upanishad. No, Nachiket. There is a story of Nachiket and conversation between Nachiket and Yamaraj. So his I mean, of course, that was to do with charity, So, but it is charity is also like no Yagya Dapa Tan. These are classified in one category only. His father was giving some cows in charity, which were like almost about to die, And then Nachiket came and told that, no, whom are you going to give me in charity? So you're giving such poor cows in charity. So he just told, and he kept nagging his father for 2-3 times. He told, I'll give you to Yamaraj. And then he goes to Yamaraj, and that's where that Katha Upanishad starts. That's a beautiful scripture, actually. So point is that no, in the sacrifice, you can't have any ingredient which is of low qualities or offering which are of low qualities. See, the intention of that yajna was not to give new life to the horse. It is as a certain process to be followed to please Vishnu. Outcome of that is the horse is getting a new life as a human being. That. So it was not a scientific yajna or scientific process that okay, horse बिल्कुल last breath पे horse पहुंचा तब उसको हमने sacrifice में offer किया और वो एक human being बन के बाहर आ गया. That was not the objective of a sacrifice. Objective was that like a best in class ghee, you will have best in class horses, best in class brahmanas, and best in class everything. You'll try to have the best. That's why it is. Even if you see in Bhagavatam, this point of Prithu Maharaj, when he was offering horses in sacrifice, and 90 always Indra used to come and steal his horses. There was a particular type of horse they were sacrificing. So they were so specific in offering of sacrifices of the horses. It was not just लेके आओ अश्व में 100 मरते हुए घोड़े लेके आ जाओ उन सबको डालते जाओ और वो that was not the objective of the sacrifice. You're getting my point. But Kali Yuga, it is forbidden. So, because, I mean, we don't even delve into it because there are 5 things, prohibited in Kali Yuga. You know that? There are 5 things which are prohibited in Kali Yuga. One is offering of a horse in sacrifice, offering of a cow in sacrifice, acceptance of karma sannyas, offering of oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and man begetting children in his brother's wife. There are 5 things. One of that is Ashwamedh Yajna.
Because when I read that statement, I'm not able to find the page number. I felt very disturbed, Prabhuji, because it is clearly mentioned one person is offering the limbs of the horse, one person is offering the fat of the horse, and Kausalya, she herself sacrificing the horse with one suck, with a sword. So I felt when I was reading Ramayana, it was so pleasing, reading so good things about Ram. But when I suddenly landed at this text, I felt
Mataji, you have not read the details of how Yudhishthir did his Ashwamedh Yajna. I am sure somebody must be offering flesh there also. The only thing is you are not privy to those details. So we know, so some of Kaushalya's details are given. But Ashwamedh Yajna must be happening that way only, See, because sacrifice, you can't offer जलता हुआ मतलब जिंदा हॉर्स भागता हुआ नाचता हुआ उसको डाल दिया उठा के आग में there must be some ways as to how that is happening, right?
So that is done only to give the horse human life.
It happens with them, but that was a way of that, and that's why it's prohibited in Kali Yuga. That was a I mean, as I'm saying, I'm not a doctor of Ashwamedh Yagya, so I don't know what is happening in that, but that was the objective of Ashwamedh Yagya, was to please Vishnu and offering the best ingredient. Now, what is that? Maybe I'll check and let you know offline.
Would Vishnu be pleased with the sacrifice of horse, Prabhuji? So this I'm not. If some an atheist asks this question to me, see, your God is asking an animal life. So what is wrong in eating a non-veg? If someone asks this question to me, so how would I?
But that is only in sacrifice. That's why in Kali Yuga you don't even do that, because we don't have that piety that we can handle sacrificing the horse for the higher good. That's why Buddha, like, no, all these, he came and told that, no, stop all this nonsense. That's why Buddha came, that anyways, people are not qualified any which ways. Okay. So what penances they were doing in Ashwamedh Yagya, what they were doing to kind of come to that point, we don't know. We don't know that background. We're just seeing an event and basis that. So we can do more research on Ashwamedh Yagya. What do Yajman generally does before doing Ashwamedh Yagya? How does that happen? How does that happen? But essentially, there has to be piety to handle also that kind of, I mean, if we sacrifice horse, we'll first तो टंगड़ी हम ही लोग खा लेंगे, बाद में किसी को नहीं देंगे. So that's why you should not do Ashwamedh Yagya. You're not qualified to do. But Kaushalya was doing it for a higher purpose. So for that, we need to understand what is Ashwamedh Yagya. What does it mean? Were they actually eating the horse? No, they were offering it in the sacrifice. Okay. So they are not doing it for sense gratification. But why that vidhi is pleasing to Vishnu, we need to do more research on that. But that's how it is.
That's actually, I told my problem. I always research what should I answer when an atheist asks this question to me.
Oh, let us help you on that. Give me.
Your Vishnu will become happy when someone kills the horse and offer it to him. Because there are people, compared to non-veg eating, they say plant also has a life. So plants, you should not also eat plants. So for that, at least I can say Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam from Bhagavad Gita Shloka. That at least I can. But this thing, when someone says, Vishnu is happy when someone kills a horse and offers to him. So what is wrong in me eating a goat or chicken or fish? So what should I answer when someone asks this question? So that is what
definitely we can give couple of days time and maybe we can come back on this. But yeah, I mean, I think in South you have a lot of intellectual people, they have read scriptures and then eating non-veg. Up north, actually, I didn't find so many they anyways eat it, not a problem. So so it's easy.
I have one more, sorry to take so much of your time, Prabhuji, because these are doubts always I didn't get answer. I tried to ask.
I don't mind, Mataji. I just need 15 more minutes. Okay, we'll go till 8:45. Yeah, please go ahead.
In Treta Yuga, so Ram sent Sita because of some person said that some Dhobi said, okay, this is the problem. That's the reason he sent Sita to the forest. Okay, that happened. In Dwapar Yuga, I heard from Radhesham Prabhu from Hyderabad. I heard when he was narrating a story.
Yeah,
so
that Dhobi became Dhobi in Mathura.
Yeah, same Dhobi. He was washing Kamsa's clothes, and Krishna, when he came to Mathura to kill Kamsa, he killed him. So how can Krishna kill him? See, he is an innocent fellow. Lack of intelligence. He has done that. So if some person is ignorant, if someone asks me, what, your God will kill innocent people, ignorant people also, for no reason. So what should I answer this? So that is what my question is.
One thing is that definitely. So I have also heard this. This actually comes in, I think, Gaur Govind Maharaj's book. This thing comes that that same Dhobi who was testing and kind of put that kind of, and Ram did not do anything to him, but he committed an offense, and that offense had to be rectified. Okay, so Krishna killed him and showed him his mercy and clarified the offense. See, some of these leelas also, na Mataji, when the point on leelas come, na, you have to understand two things are there. One is called tattva, the other is called leela. If you start debating, discussing on leela directly, na, it will never go to any conclusion. You have to tell, you forget about everything else. You don't want to follow Krishna, fine. Who are you? Are you a body or a soul? You talk on that. Forget about Krishna, forget about Ram. Don't want to follow, don't do this. Who are you? Look at Krishna, how he started his preaching to Arjuna. No, second chapter is all filled up. Who am I? Okay. So that's where Tattva begins, and then we talk about some controllership and all. So sometimes, we need to also see people whether they are ready to understand basic philosophy first and then go to the point of Leelas, because they can't understand this concept that Lord had that, hidden this thing that, okay, as Ram, I could not do it because I had to be Maryada Purushottam. Now I show. But Krishna's killing is also his mercy. That also is another point, That also Narad Muni clarifies in seventh canto, that Krishna's killing is not different from his. In fact, somebody who's envying him also gets mercy before even Krishna kills him, because he's thinking about Krishna. Now that thinking is not favorable, but because he's thinking of Krishna, Krishna considers that also, So it is very, very amazing, very beautiful and very amazing. So actually that Dhobi deserved to be killed, थोड़ा उसको time ज़्यादा मिल गया, but he deserved to be killed because our offenses also continue at a spiritual level. You know that. Why Daksha, his offenses continued for a very long time. And that's why, although he committed that offense to Lord Shiva, and he was being given that head of a bakra later, and apparently he was kind of okay. But fast forward it, again he offended Narad Muni, because Narad Muni preached to his son, 10,000 sons, made them brahmacharis, then another 1,000, then he made them brahmacharis. Again he offended Narad Muni. So Narad Muni kind of he understood that no, this guy is not, still offenses are not clear. So Krishna mercifully killed him, Okay, you're done with that offense, okay? Because you try to separate me from my eternal concert, it's fine. And getting killed by Krishna, I mean, as devotees, we know it's a very good thing. A theist person will not understand it. They'll not understand. For that, they need to discover themselves first. Discover yourself. Session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, like that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And you need to also check whether somebody is actually innocently asking such things or one is envious, So as a Madhyam Adhikari, we need to differentiate that, no, there are some people who really want to waste your time.
Yes,
so we need to, no, you're absolutely right. But by the way, who are you? Just talk and drop it over there. Somebody who is more interested, more innocent, then we can explain that first you need to understand this point of Tattva. First you understand Bhagavad Gita, what that Bhagavad Gita is all about. Then you'll be able to understand that all these things. Otherwise, suddenly, no, I show you a trigonometry question and you say that I am in second standard. How will you solve it? You will not be able to solve it. Because there are so many other aspects of rasas which come especially in this Dhobi Leela. So many other rasas are there. Okay, and I'm sure in Ashwamedh Yagya also there are so many technical details. We are not even understanding what are the different, Vedic literature tree. That also we don't understand. Forget about what Ashwamedh Yagya is. Aranyakas, Upanishads, Samhitas. What Samhitas do? You ask him that question. You are so thorough with all these things. As a present, do you know what is Samhitas is doing? Samhitas tells the destination. Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojan. Abhidaya is in Aranyakas, okay, and Sambandha is in Upanishads. That's how this Vedic tree is there. But we don't know anything. But we take one thing and just use it. Okay, so we have to. But on Ashwamedh Yagya, I'll definitely get back. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So you need to influence your husband for 15 more minutes. Okay.
Also on call.
I am also on the call, Prabhuji.
Yes, I know. So I'm going via this thing. Okay, fine. So that's about Utsaha, Nishchay and Dhairyat. Okay. A devotee thinks that no, I am surely going to Avashya Rakhi be Krishna. Okay. confident. Okay. Yeah. Actually, when we keep getting spiritual taste, then our confidence improves. Okay. Okay. So one reason why we don't get continuous. So Krishna also ensures, while we are talking of this Achintya principle, Krishna also ensures that time to time we keep getting taste. Because if we don't get taste, experience, rasa, then our faith also doesn't remain so strong. You must have experienced, no? कुछ कुछ समय भगवान टेस्ट दे देते हैं, राइट टाइम पे आके कुछ दे देंगे, कुछ दे देंगे, कुछ दे देंगे. तो भगवान टेस्ट देते रहते हैं. सिर्फ एक चीज हमारा टेस्ट ब्लॉक कर सकता है, वो है वैष्णव अपराध. That we have to be careful of. Having a critical mentality towards devotees can block our taste. Okay. Okay. So that's one point in terms of patience. The other point on patience is that is not to we expect too much quick results even in devotional life sometimes, that also makes us impatient. So one is the doubt part of it, okay? But the other reason why we also become impatient is one aspect of the same is when we become too fruitive in devotional life, I'm doing this so that I can get this, so that I can get that, so that I can get this. The more we become fruitive in our devotional life, the more we become impatient. The more we have hetus, I'm doing this for the peace of mind, I'm doing this for this, I'm doing this for that, I'm doing this devotional service for getting certain things and all. We do devotional life for pleasing Krishna. That's something which we keep reminding ourselves, thinking about it all the time. That's why I'm doing that. So the less fruitive it becomes, the more patient our devotional service becomes. Okay. So in essence, I think these were some of the points. Okay. In essence, in Utsaha, Nishcha, Dharya, especially in Nishcha, Dharya, what we discussed was the point on doubt. Sometimes the spiritual life will keep getting doubts, whether I'm in the right train, whether I'm in the right track. So we need to just continue, clarify, and continue in life, in association of devotees, hearing regularly in our devotional life. Okay. Third is, what we discussed was this point on, being balanced again is very, very important. And then this point on what I just told is not being fruitive in our devotional life. Trying to do it without any reason, okay, just for the pleasure of Krishna. Then we become more fruitive, we become more impatient, we become less fruitive, we become more patient. Okay. Okay. So this is in essence Utsaha Nishchaya Dharya. Okay. And then we move to the next. Tat Karma Pravartana. As already explained, one should not be idle, but should be very enthusiastic about executing the regulative principles. Okay. Now, Srila Prabhupada is kind of again breaking down those activities into do's and don'ts. Okay. He clarifies that point. Okay. There are certain prescriptions and there are prohibitions. Why he says for us is we should understand that we are sadhakas. Okay. We are sadhakas. Sadhakas means we have to follow rules and regulations in devotional life. We can't become neglectful of it, thinking I have become advanced, I can leave it. Okay. Just like a driver, okay, if you learn driving, you may become comfortable about driving in years to come, when you continue driving, but doesn't mean that you neglect the rules, like which you were very conscious about in the first day of driving. No, you become neglectful of that because you have become an advanced driver. Similarly, in spiritual life, we can become comfortable about certain principles, but we cannot become neglectful about certain principles. It's not that we are madly taking tension about some of the principles, but we may become comfortable, but we should not become neglectful of those principles. And those principles are of two types: prohibitions and prescriptions. Actually, and that's why it's linked to the next point is, the more we are attached to sadhu, the less burdensome we'll see these regulative principles as. Okay, if I'm doing it, understanding definitely that it is good for me, but for the pleasure of Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas, if we are doing certain things, then our attachment for the Guru, Vaishnavas, it increases. And then following of these principles gives some rasa to us, gives some meaning to us, gives some deeper taste to us, Okay. So that's why Prabhupada doesn't stop at Tat Tat Karma Pravartana. I mean, Rupa Goswami. Therefore, it starts talking about the Satovritti. Okay. So he says that no, it's about regulative principles, prescriptions, and prohibitions both. And Prabhupada is specifically mentioning of 4 regulative principles and daily chanting of 16 rounds. It sounds so simple to us, no? ये तो हमारे बाएं हाथ का खेल है. Chanting of 16 rounds and following 4 regs. But to continue doing it lifelong is not a joke. It's not a joke at all. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. अभी हमें नया लगता है, कुछ भी चीज जो नई आती है ना हमारे जीवन में, हम उसको लेके बहुत एंथुजियास्टिक होते हैं, क्योंकि माइंड it accepts anything new very enthusiastically. That's the nature of mind. But we have to understand that no, devotional service should not remain at mental platform. Yes. And then and same mind becomes unenthusiastic about something which is old. यार तो रोज कर रहे हैं आप, क्या बड़ी बात है. तो वो उससे अपने आप को बचाना है. We have to save ourselves from that mental setup. It's a struggle, but we have to do it. It is possible only when we do utsaha nishchaya dhairya tat tat karma pravartana. Never neglecting. Oh, I'm very enthusiastic, but I'm breaking this principle and not even bothering about it. एक बार एक devotee थे, मेरे को बोल रहे थे कि प्रभु जी, हम जब भी कुछ बिना कांदा लहसुन का खाना होता है ना, तो ऐसे कंठी उतार देते हैं हम और खा लेते हैं और फिर पहन लेते हैं. मैंने कहा ये क्या चल रहा है, ऐसे थोड़ा होता है. मैंने कहा it doesn't happen that way. So very serious in following regulative principles. And Prabhupada is saying yam and niyam. Yam is prohibitions and prescriptions is niyama. Niyama and yama. Okay. So these are the 2 things Prabhupada is mentioning. Okay. And it becomes easy to follow those principles when 2 things happen: Sanga Tyaga and Satovritti. Okay. The same principles becomes too difficult to follow if we are in association of undesirable people. Okay. And same things become easy if we are in association of devotees. Sanga Tyaga Satovritti. These are Prabhupada is explaining them together. So you see the connection. Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairya, and activities are further divided into Tat Tat Karma Pravartana in terms of principles, regulative principles. And how can we do those regulative principles, all things, whatever we are discussing so easily, if when there is 2 things, one is Sanga Tyaga and Satovritti. Okay. Furthermore, in order to be successful in devotional service, one must give up association of undesirable people. Okay. And then is being explained that what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes Vaishnava as one who gives up the association of worldly people or non-devotees. Okay. Because worldly people, they are attracted to the materialistic transformations a lot. And matter keeps transforming. if we take their Sangha, we'll also become affected by the material transformations. Okay, one after another, one after another, one after another. But as a devotee, we need to see these material transformations as separate from ourselves. We are separate from this material transformation. I mean, we'll continue existing even though these material transformations around us, with us, will also continue happening. Still, we'll be the same. Characteristically, a Vaishnava is one who gives up the association of worldly people or non-devotees. And then Srila Prabhupada says, therefore it has been, and this was Prabhupada's favorite line of this, Tadera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas. Prabhupada has quoted this line like anything. Janama janama ei abhilash. Anya abhilashita shunyam, right? So which abhilasha one should have? This one. Tadera Charan Sevi Bhakta Sanivas. Worshipping or serving the spiritual master, Tadera Charan Sevi, in the association of devotees. Serving the spiritual master in the association of devotees. Similarly, we all are serving Srila Prabhupada and his representatives in the association of devotees. That is a desire to be cultivated. I want to serve Srila Prabhupada in the association of devotees. That is the best desire to have. Okay, that's what Prabhupada used to comment so many times, refer to this line. So this should be like motto for our life. Tadera Charan Sevi Bhakta Sanevas. In the association of devotees, I'll serve the Srila Prabhupada and his representatives. So then Prabhupada is saying, if one does that, these two things, Sato Vritti and Sangatyag, then it will be very easy for us to practice the regulative principles of devotional life. And then Prabhupada says, that's why we have made this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Okay. And then Srila Prabhupada is again kind of giving some of the commentary from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like no on these different points. Okay, so we'll probably go through that a bit. So that devotional service, and then Prabhupada goes on to the point of devotional service means transcendental. This is called Vishuddha Sattva. In this Krishna, we require everyone to rise early in morning by 4 a.m., attend Mangal Aarti or morning worship, then read Bhagavatam, perform Kirtan. Thus we hold activity. This is called Satovritti, or following in the footsteps of previous acharyas, who expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna. So basically, following the principles laid out by the acharyas in the association of devotees. Okay. And then he says, if one strictly follows the advice given in this verse by Srila Rupa Goswami, namely being enthusiastic, being confident, being patient, giving up the association of unwanted persons, following the regulative principles, and remaining in association of devotees, one is sure to advance in devotional service. Okay. So the purpose of the last section of this purport of where Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's point is there, is kind of like summarizing the verse 2 and 3 to some extent. Okay. And that is getting clarified. So up till now, if there is any question, because I think the bulk of the major thing is now getting covered already. On these 6 qualities, is there any question anybody is having?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I have one question from the Shloka 2, Prabhuji. If I'm allowed to ask.
Shloka
Can I
2.
ask?
Yes, please,
Yes.
please.
Prabhuji, there in the explanation it is mentioned, Muktikamis who desire liberation by merging in the existence of the formless absolute Brahman, and Siddhikamis who desire the perfection of mystic yoga practice are classified as Atyaharis. So somehow the Muktikamis are categorized under Atyaharis. I
Yes.
couldn't really understand because Muktikamis are struggling for the liberation. So why such type of struggle is categorized under Atyaharis?
Because they are trying to accumulate knowledge more than required. More than required. Therefore, they are Atyaharis. Even that endeavor is also called Atyahar.
But here it is not mentioned, Prabhuji, it is mentioned only about the liberation. Who desire liberation by merging in the existence of formless absolute Brahman, they also classified
Yeah, but they
Atyaharis.
do that by philosophical speculation, you know. That's their method. Okay. That's how they seek liberation, you know. You know, Gyanis, Yogis, Karmis. So Gyanis, this category is for Gyanis. Gyanis means those who want to merge into impersonal Brahman effulgence by the method of philosophical speculation.
Okay, so like how it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and the Karma Yoga. So it's through the Jnana mark they want to achieve the liberation.
Yeah.
And that is categorized under Atyaharis if we go in that way.
Yeah. And the other point is what we also have to understand whether there are Mukti Kamis, Bhukti Mukti, you know, that verse which is there from Chaitanya Charitamrita. All they are actually, you know, Kamis only. Kamis in the sense there are material desire. So Atyahar, the deeper meaning is when one is trying to enjoy independent of the Lord. That's where the fault of Atyahar comes. So even Gyanis, they may seek liberation, but ultimately they are trying to enjoy separate from the Lord. So therefore they are guilty of Atyahar, and they do Atyahar of philosophical speculation. So anybody who is trying to enjoy independently of the Lord is trying to do some Atyahar. Somebody is trying to do accumulate money, somebody is trying to accumulate this, somebody is trying to accumulate knowledge, somebody is trying to accumulate siddhis or whatever is there, but all to enjoy independent of Lord. Therefore, they are trying to do all those things. For all this falls under the concept of Atyahar.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other question?
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, like you explained, there are 9 components to devotional services. Hearing, chanting, right? So
Yes.
there is a process that we from ISKCON follow, the hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. Like we will hear all our previous acharyas, we will chant 16 rounds, and we will do devotional service in a certain way, like we've been trained to do. But Prabhuji, what about those people? Like, for example, I have a friend, she's mostly in mode of goodness. She hears anybody, she reads Bhagavad Gita, she reads a lot of Vedas, which I can say is Atyahara. Only like all Vedas are there. She reads, she gives a lot of Gita classes to a lot of kids. And, but will this be counted as she's doing those following the devotional service, or doing some limbs of bhakti?
So therefore, after components, we discussed how to do those components. That's where we told the point of accepting Guru. Tad Vigyartham. You remember that big section we read through? Unless that is there, then this is not. Okay. It may lead to some Agyat Sukriti if you are in touch with some bona fide things. But unless one is, and that Agyat Sukriti also, if she's in touch with some bona fide things, when that Sukriti builds up, then that point of devotional service mein kama, but it's not in itself qualify as devotional service if she is not touched with anything bona fide.
Like other components of bhakti like Archanam, Vandanam, Padasevanam, and all that is not there.
That's
that-
not important because if somebody is just hearing, but hearing from a bona fide guru, even if he does that, that is also sufficient. So it is not that the point is and in this purport of 7th canto, this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada actually describes how by practicing just one of the limbs, so many people perfected, you know. I mean, this person got perfected and all those things. That's not a big problem. If that is in accordance with Guru's instructions, then it is fine. That makes sense.
Okay.
Therefore, that's a central point for us. That's why Prabhupada brought that important, because somebody may think actually that, okay, I'm hearing, I'm chanting and all, but have you accepted a guru?
Yeah, it makes it.
How will we even offer service to Krishna? If we think Krishna is accepting our services directly, that is also impersonalism in one extent. Because Krishna doesn't accept anything unless it comes through devotees, you know.
Yeah, maybe because she comes from a background of Arya Samaj. So she reads a lot of scriptures and give a lot of classes to students, connect them to Krishna. But the process we follow, she does not follow that process.
Yeah, unless you are accepting Guru Parampara, then it is not possible. It may be piety to some extent.
Okay.
Any other question?
One more thing, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
COVID time, because I had plenty of time, I got into a habit of reading a lot of books.
Very good.
So yeah, so I was reading. I in fact kind of set a standard for myself. Until unless I'm reading this much, I'm not doing enough. But suddenly a time came in my life, especially last year, that I was not able to do much of reading, and that would really irritate me. And I was doing more of other mundane activities, like maybe, you know, running around, going to bank and all those things. And I was getting very irritated that I'm just spending too much time in these material activities. But what I read here today is that we should not separate material and spiritual activities. We should see everything as spiritual only. But it's kind of very difficult to pacify your mind that you are just doing kitchen work, or you're just running for groceries and banks and running to advocates, and all those things are very spiritual things. Until unless you sit down, read a book, pacify your mind,
Definitely.
you don't get that satisfaction.
Therefore, we talked about balance pillars. No, one of the pillar was actually hearing and reading. When the 7 pillars of balance we discussed one of the pillars as hearing and reading. Now, if you are like, you know, Rishabh Dev, you know, you have seen the story of Rishabh Dev when he, you know, when he, after he left his kingdom, he was in like, no, a very graphic explanation though, Rishabh Dev's, that no, he was like, he was not even washing his stool and urine, you know, and he was like absorbed, and his stool and urine were also smelling like scent, you know. It was so, you know, so that was a level, you know. But we are not that level, definitely. Okay. So therefore, the concept of duty is also there. Because our hearing and reading may also be in modes of nature, you know, we may be impacted by modes. So we have to get purified by doing duties as well. Not that hearing and reading in itself is not sufficient to purify us. Definitely, it can. But the point is that no, we generally like no, it doesn't work that way. You know, we have to continue doing things, continue doing our duties also, and in this way get purified. But definitely keep hearing and reading as the central theme of our life. Okay, that definitely is not to be denied as a point. And you are right, unless you are hearing, reading, chanting, you can't really see those things also spiritual for a long period of time. You'll not be able to do that. That is also there. So So that is one extreme where one just because one is attached to doing those activities, one just keeps thinking, oh, it is spiritual, it's spiritual. For a devotee, everything is just continue doing it and neglect one's reading, hearing. But at the same time, the other extreme is just one is reading and hearing and becoming, a mind is trapping that person in the sense, oh, there is so much of trouble in doing this household work. It is so much of trouble. So better avoid this trouble. Oh, how do I avoid it? Oh, philosophy is so nice. It says that no, just focus, all this is mundane. And we take a Krishna conscious facade, uh, to, to basically cover up, So we should not give up things seeing the trouble in it. We should not give up the things seeing the trouble in it. What we are supposed to do. We are supposed to do. Our mind will become impatient. Our mind will become, all these things will happen. But we continue doing it because it is supposed to be done. That's how it is. Because if everybody gives up their duty, the house will not run. Because somebody must be taking care of this whole system, right? And that's why we are thinking, oh, I'm so peacefully practicing spiritual life. Once there was one devotee who was giving a class, Bhagavatam class. And some discussions were happening in that temple where like brahmacharis and grahasthas, some temple was there. And then this verse came up of Rishabdev. And then he told that if you feel that and that senior devotee was like a leader of the community and he loved both brahmacharis, grahasthas. And then he told this point that that if you feel you are Rishabdev, you don't need anything, then it is fine. You can anyways perform devotional service beyond temple also. Go and you don't need fan, you don't need cooler, you don't need AC, you don't need tube light, you don't need anything. Then it is fine. Then you can criticize whoever you want to. But you need that, so respect them, So somebody may be doing that indirect devotional service for us to do direct devotional service. That is also there. And sometimes they may get more benefited. They may think, oh, let me assist this lady. Let me assist this Prabhuji. I'm not able to do, but let him do. And we are thinking this is mundane, I'll not do. So sometimes that may also happen. Krishna may take that bhav. He's trying to serve a devotee with such a good thought and thinking he's unqualified. Let me give my mercy to him, So Krishna is very bhavgrahi. So yes, hearing and chanting has to be in the center stage, has to be done, but at the same time, one has to continue doing those duties. Any other question? Yeah.
Prabhuji, when we are doing devotional service, mostly hearing or when we are doing deity worship, we do feel a satisfaction of the heart, some sweetness, maybe some ecstasy is also Prabhu. Should that be taken as sentiment that Prabhupada is describing, or is that little love of the Lord? I mean, how do you distinguish the two?
No, that's fine. Even if you're not imagination for sure.
Not imagination, but
you're doing devotional service and getting an experience is fine.
Are we being sentimental, or is it? Are we towards
No,
developing?
that is mercy of Krishna. That is mercy of Krishna. That is definitely mercy of Krishna. But we don't stop there. We continue doing our devotional service. But that is mercy of Krishna, definitely, no. That's what I told also. We need rasa. So we keep getting rasa in devotional life. That will keep us going confident also. But if one is just trying to whole day not doing anything and just hearing one bhajan and going and oh my God, tears are coming from my eyes, and then going and drinking tea. That is imaginative ecstasy. One is imagining to be in ecstasy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Another question? Okay. So then Srila Prabhupada in the next couple of pages, he's bringing the point of, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, Thakur's points, and he's doing essentially in this whole thing is giving more confidence to a devotee to focus on devotional service and not get onto the path of karmis, jnanis and yogis. Because so it's like a final punch which Srila Prabhupada is giving, that no, that for a devotee he should not he should differentiate his path. One should understand it sufficiently that is this devotional service is a supreme goal, and it is the path of bhakti includes the best benefits of yoga, karma, and gyan. Everything is being covered in that. Okay, so one should not ever get distracted and go back to those paths of karma, gyan, and yoga. Okay. One must be calmly convinced that those who have given up devotional service to engage in severe austerities for other purpose are not purified in their minds, despite their advanced austerities, because they have no information of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So Prabhupada is actually strengthening our faith that one should not go back to the mundane, not sinful life. After taking to devotional life, one doesn't so easily go back to sinful life, but one may go to the pious, so-called pious material life. One may fail in a pious way. One may so that's karma, gyan, and yoga. So that Prabhupada is trying to say that no, one should not. Okay. Generally, for while we have picked up devotional life, what happens is that still these remnants, depends on our psychology, depends on our level of consciousness. We may have strong affinity for some of these things, either a lot of fruitive mentality for achieving a lot of things, or it may be the mentality to be remaining peaceful, and this is bad and this is good and this is wrong and this is right, and all that matter spirit. Right wrong too much. And then somebody may be just after wealth, somebody may be after puja pratishtha for from others. And while one has liked devotional service, picked up devotional life, one may go to the other paths. Okay, again go back to achieve some of those objectives. One may think that maybe in devotional service I will not get what I want. Okay. But we have to understand that Srila Prabhupada used to say that 10,000 rupees include rupees 10. Whatever we need, Krishna will provide. Okay. Whatever we lack, Krishna will carry. Okay. Okay. He'll give everything, he'll give everything to us. Okay. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from more dangerous type of fear. Okay. Devotional service is so pure and perfect that once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. This is a very important point, actually. One is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. Okay. There's this point where when Satyavrat Muni got Matsya avatar in a bottle, he just had the fish in the hand. How that Matsya avatar came, Satyavrat Muni found him, that Matsya fish in the water, and the fish was saying, "Hey king, please save me, you are so nice, please save me, give me protection." And then he got that fish, put it in the bottle, and that fish expanded, and that he thought that fish is growing too fast, maybe eating a lot, very healthy fish. तो बॉटल से हटा के वो बोला कि मेरे को ये छोटा पड़ रहा है, थोड़ा बड़ा कर दो. And they put it in a bigger pot, and then it expanded in that also, then a pond or a lake, and then eventually in a sea. And he was not fitting anywhere. Understood, Krishna, he's not ordinary fish. Tell me, you must be Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what happens when Krishna enters our life. He's like Matsya. He expands. He expands in our life. On his own, he expands. Okay, in the life of a devotee. You may think that no, Krishna will expand, what will happen to other things? No, then he'll protect us. Then he'll protect us. Like Matsya protected Satyavrat Muni at the time of devastation. He only protected him. Similarly, we'll be protected by Lord. When the ultimate devastation of death will come, then Krishna protects. Krishna will protect. Okay, so Krishna himself does his job. We are not following a process in which we only have to do everything. Actually, we do very less. Causeless mercy means is actually causeless only. What we are doing, 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, and we are getting Krishna Prem. Such a is causeless only, no? कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हम. We are getting, okay. So because Krishna expands, Krishna is doing more job in our life than we doing on ourselves, So we have to see it that way and allow Krishna to continue expanding in our lives. Only thing is, when he sees Vaishnava Prath, as soon as he sees the devotees humble, praying, he becomes happy. Expanding again starts. Expanding again starts. And then Prabhupada is repeatedly kind of comparing devotional service or devotees with karmis, jnanis, and yogis. And he repeatedly establishes in terms of what objective, what goals devotee gets, the permanence of the goals of devotees, the qualities of devotees is one. Sometimes you may think that devotees हैं इतनी अच्छी quality नहीं है इनकी. हाँ, कभी कभी आ सकता है दिमाग में, आता है ना कभी कभी, अरे डिवोटी हो कैसे कभी. हाँ, ये बाहर के लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं. हाँ, ये सब ऐसे कर रहे हैं, वो सब ऐसे कर रहे हैं. What I have experienced in my life is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is papi tapi joto chilo harinam uddharilo. In devotional service we see very very tapi people also. Tapi matlab very tapasvi, very nice, default nice qualities, and very papi also. Okay. What we have to observe is devotional service is the only process in which everybody gets better compared to oneself. Not to others, but to oneself. When you check in your friend circle, you check in your social circle, just check. When we start our lives, when we are in school and colleges and so many things, we always have very high principles in our life. Sometimes we want to do this and we want. But generally what happens is when you get into the thick and thin of life, then the goodness goes down. The goodness goes down. But you see, as devotees, I mean, even in our own lives, where we would have been if devotional life wouldn't have come to us? We would have walked what kind of path? So devotional service not only stops our decline, it also starts elevating us. Now that elevation may not be very, very high immediately, but we have to appreciate the fact that we are not declining down. That was a natural course for us. We are not going down the path. We are at least being on the same and going up also. Okay, that's the beauty of devotional. Because to convert good into good is not a good deal. To convert bad into good is a big thing. That is what Prabhupada is doing. That is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Okay. So a devotee can learn to control his impulses, whereas it may be difficult for others to control the impulses and all. So then Prabhupada brings up that point, again that point on which verse 2 started. He concludes this point, his third verse with that point, according to Bhagavad Gita 9.13, in verse 2, I think it's the same, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha, he started with that, you remember, 9.13, and now he ends the verse 3 with that 9.13, because it comes, all this is an endeavor for a living entity to remain under the control of the internal potency of the Lord and not go into the control of the external potency of the Lord, the material potency. So, and then Prabhupada says, since all the devotees of Lord are under protection of his supreme potency, they should not deviate from the path of devotional service and take to the path of karmi, jnani or yogi. This is called utsaha nishchaya dharya tat karma pravartana, enthusiastically executing regulative activities of devotional service with patience and confidence. All devotees of Lord are under protection of Supreme, not that pure devotees, even somebody who has initiated devotional service. Sometimes we think only when we become pure devotee, we'll go under when we accept devotional service. We come under the control of internal potency of the Lord. So we should not go back. We should not go back in the control of the external potency of the Lord. And you can only go back when you get charmed with the advertisement of material energy, which comes in the form of karma, gyan, and all those things. Okay. Rather than that, one should continue enthusiastically in the path of devotional service. Okay. So we completed text 1, 2, 3. Any questions now? You can spend 10, 15 minutes on questions on any of these three. You can do.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Some question actually, why there is so basically though karma yogi, jnana yogi, or I mean these are also mentioned as okay, there are different paths or difficult paths to achieve, but they are also on my way. That's what it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Why there is focus? Maybe okay, maybe the context is telling to some person who's already in a level that he don't go down, but he comparably between bhakti yogi and in these yogas he can find himself. Okay, sorry Prabhuji, when I am stating my question, I am finding my answer. Basically, why Prabhupada only explained only in the high level things. Basically, maybe the karma yogi also find happiness in his way. Maybe he might not reach the ultimate goal, but why there is continuous or consistent comparison with karma yogis, jnana yogis, or other paths other than bhakti yoga throughout the perpet. I mean, there are like 80% of the people or 90% of the people are far below this as well, right? Maybe why can't we start, or, I mean, we get the person to the level above 90 and then start, right? But the comparison is between 90 and 100 or something I am seeing in the perpet. You understand what I'm trying to tell, Prabhuji?
As far as I
Why
understand,
there is a consistent comparison with the other methodologies, which may be difficult or which might be imperfectionate only to a short extent, right? I mean, they are still peers. They are still eventually might be, I don't know, yeah, in a good state, right? When compared to 90 people, which are much below.
No, definitely. See, we have to understand that there is a darshanik way of understanding, So there is vyavaharik understanding or social understanding of these things, and there is a darshanik understanding of these things. It's not that, so we should not bring darshanik tattva, like let's say you understand sangatyaga. If you immediately start hating people around you because they are non-devotees, if you immediately apply that thing like cut, copy, paste, that's a very, imbalanced way of applying scriptures. You're getting my point. We have to be clear from darshanik perspective of where we stand. Okay, what we are talking about, why devotional service. It's not about, oh, since I am best and no, therefore devotional service is the best, since I am following devotional service. That's not the point. Okay, let's try to understand what scriptures are saying, and multiple scriptures are saying, and try to understand it without any prejudices. Okay, why that is being told. Okay, because it's not about you or me, it's about the journey of the soul. And if the soul is ultimately spiritual, then where do we belong to? Then where is that place exactly located? No, then what is our connection with God? So all those complete answers, if you see from philosophical perspective, we get in the Bhakti scriptures, completely, which kind of connect all the dots. The living entity, material world, time. Sometimes some people say that ये डिवोटी इस्कॉन वालों का सब चीजों का आंसर होता है, हर चीज का आंसर रखते हैं लोग, हर चीज का आंसर रखते हैं. Some people get fed up, they respond to everything. I think somebody was asking Amog Leela Prabhu, आप क्या अब इसका भी आंसर होगा, है ना? आप क्या वो हंसने लगेगा, हाँ इसका भी आंसर है. So because you like from, but then there is vyavaharik understanding. As you are rightly saying, it should not go up in our mind, because we are not even devotees for that matter. We are practicing to become devotees. Okay, we are not bhaktas. We are aspiring to become devotees. So we are thinking that we have become devotees is itself a false ego. Okay, that itself is a problem only. You know, we are aspiring to become devotees. We are assisting devotees. You know, so that's one understanding which will allow us to remain humble. Okay, and second is that we should not change our vyavaharik tattva. The sangha means, and we should not go and demean others, and we should not go and talk about. When it comes to preaching, when it comes to elucidating path, we have to tell that in the spirit of what Guru Parampara is telling as their humble servant. We are trying to present the truth as it is. You know, that's our mood, not as a matter of arrogant show off of our like no, our path is the supreme and all that nonsensical attitude should not be there. It should be favorable attitude. You know, and our vyavaharikta with such jnanis, karmis, and yogis should not change. You know, we should continue formally relating to them and know this thing unless the point of preaching comes where we can talk about it, and that also we should be sure of what that whole social situation is. You know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started preaching to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya not in the first go. ऐसा नहीं उन्होंने उनको बिठा दिया, चल बैठ डिस्कवरी योरसेल्फ मैं पहले दूंगा। 7 दिन पहले उनका डिवाइस सुना उन्होंने सर्वभौम भट्टाचार्य का। 7 दिन उसके बाद बोला कि यार नहीं समझ में आ रहा मेरे को, you are making me more confused. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya heard, and then he explained. You know, so look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was so, you know, so sensitive to the social setting, although he was talking to a Mayavadi, so to say, but he was so fine in his dealings. You know, so our dealings have to be very carefully done. Okay, that's what Satovritti is all about. But in our mind, we have to be clear that why we are saying, why is like no, Prabhupada is that basically to save us, because at the same time there is an emergency that in a human form of life only we can come to this point of understanding God. If we are not doing it, we are wasting this life. That emergency also exists, and this reality of dealing with the people also exists. So we have to balance these two realities in our life. Okay, so Prabhupada is mercifully, you know, being so elaborate about all these things. You know, being elaborate that no, why if you are not this body, why you're working for this body or mind? You know, and that's what the essence of Karma Yoga is all about. Ultimately, Karma Yoga is what, you know, I mean, Sakam Karma Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga. You are ultimately trying to get better situation either in this life or next life. That's what it is all about. But the point is that this life or next life, I mean, maybe better rented house, this rented house to that rented house, better buy your own house. I mean, that's the point which Prabhupada is trying to mention. Make sense or no?
Yeah, maybe somewhat. Maybe what I can still, I mean, basically, when I'm asking the question itself, I understood, right? So the context level where this nectar of instruction is set up may be different from the context where I'm expecting or when we generally talk, right?
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So already the expectation is right. I mean, you are all, I mean, practicing yoga or some way. Now, of these 4, why you need to consider Bhakti Yoga? When that is there, the comparison will be with the other forms of yogas, right? I can't expect from again 0, like, right?
No.
So,
You're expected to understand that and then come to NOI. Because
right.
NOI
Yeah,
establishes that, yeah. And NOI
right.
starts with that.
Yeah, that's the reason I think I understood in this purpose of this NOI already. I mean, comparison against Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and all, because already the basic things are already considered granted. Okay, you are a practitioner, which are considered. Yeah, understood, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. Any other question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhuji, we were reading about the principle, where 6th principle. The 5th principle is saying like abandoning the association of non-devotees. So in our general life, we are contacting, and we are always with the non-devotees only. So what actually is this point means?
We discussed that in Janasangha also, and actually that's the next point now. Next verse will come. It will explain association only. Dadati Pratiganati, and like text 4 is all about explaining association. Basically, it is about revealing mind to each other. You know, that's the crux of association. See, one is association at a formal level. You know, I give something and I say thank you, you say welcome, and I say this. All those things. That will not exactly be an intimate association. Intimate association means where you are revealing your mind and hearing Hearing their mind and offering Krishna conscious solutions is also giving association. But revealing our mind and taking their advice, how to live life, that's called taking their association. Okay, that we should avoid, you know.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other question? Okay. Okay, so if there are no other questions, we will stop today as our last class. Still, if you get any questions as an after this thing before your exams, your open book, closed book exams, you can reach out to me on the mail ID or on the phone number on WhatsApp if you have any questions. I think I've already shared my number. Dasraj Prabhu has it. And mail ID is also there with Dasraj Prabhu. I can put it on mail ID. I can also put it on the chat box. One can reach out for any questions they may have.
Sure, Prabhuji. Prabhuji and Mataji, if we do not have any further questions, I think as Prabhuji said, probably we can call it off for the day.
Sure.
I'm sure Prabhuji is also tired after a long day in office.
It was a very refreshing thing always on
Yes,
Monday or Friday and to meet all of you, and I really loved interacting with all of you. And please forgive me for any inconveniences in terms of timing and or in confusing, or maybe I confused you with something or whatever. Please forgive me for any such thing. And thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Kripa Sindhu Bhaincha Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Shila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai. Nande Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare